But you also have, normally you have a very strong position in society, in American society. You stand for something. I mean, also the political side, that, for example, you are sensed as the ultimate negative or antichrist or whatever conservative people see in you. And there are a lot of that people in America. And do you still feel that it's that strong? I mean, that when you walk on the street, do people have still fear when they see you, or what kind of reactions do you still get?
Well, I think, of course, especially recently, there's probably new things that I'll get blamed for, whatever sort of massacre happens and people decide that it's my fault or it's entertainment's fault. And I'm usually an easy scapegoat because I've asserted myself as one. But I realized that my world became very much reduced to my own head and what I had to get through as a person to want to have a reason to live. And I also realized that artistically and as a person, the world is such a victim of itself. There's no reason, there's nothing to gain from anyone who's really wants to excel at being an artist right now by attacking the world. There's no point in it. So all the things that I've said and done and all the things I've tried to prove, I realize now I don't regret any of them, but I spent a lot of my life, my career, trying to make a point to the world that I deserve to say what I say and that my opinion is equal to everyone else's, even if it's different. And I saw and I see now that I didn't spend enough time showing the world who I am as opposed to who I deserve to be. And this record, I think, allowed me to see that the only thing that you can really do powerfully as an artist now, in this era in life, is to turn things inside yourself and to really talk about your personality, expose yourself, because the whole world thinks that it deserves to be famous. Fame itself is diluted, and it should be an occasion for talent and personality to rise to the forefront. And if anything is going to change the world, it should be the idea that you can change one people's feelings. And when I saw that I could change someone's feelings with writing a song, then I think that to me is more important than telling the world how they should think.
But the newest massacre, you just talked about it a little bit. I read some article here in Germany where they read in the internet again that your name was mentioned as before they knew any background. What happened? Just like whose fault is it again? Somebody wrote Marilyn Manson. I don't know how often that happened. Did you hear something about that? That there again people were talking specifically in this case now?
Well,
like before?
I would never be surprised. And when I was watching the news footage take place, and I haven't really watched all of it to know all the details, except that I know that the killer referenced Harrison Klebold as being martyrs. And all of the things that I went through with Columbine, I feel like I established my opinion on what I want to say as a person and how I want to defend myself, and that I don't ever want to do it again, and I don't feel a need to really waste emotions when I was in a place a year ago where I didn't have any emotions, that emotions are too valuable and too important. If I knew people that were involved in it personally, I could have more of an emotional opinion about it. But it doesn't make me someone who has no empathy or no sympathy to say that I don't care about it, because it doesn't affect me, because it shouldn't affect me any more than the war or any other thing that happens. And I know that I'm often only picked as a scapegoat because it's a political move, and it's something that really reflects the whole point of why I chose to name Marilyn Manson, to represent myself, because that in itself was a statement that is very parallel to how people end up reacting to situations like this. So for me, I wouldn't be surprised if I was blamed for it, but at the same time, just as I did not choose to engage in a fight or defense of myself during Columbine, I can go even further to say that it's not my concern. My world is much smaller than that. My world is about how I feel, and I'm happy just to be able to have emotions now. So I'm not going to waste them on other people that really only want to use me as some sort of political pawn.
Why do you think is American culture so obsessed by mass murderers and death?
I suppose that's the question that, inspired me to create the name Marilyn Manson. I think it's because America is afraid to accept the guilt that they're trying to hide for the way that we've grown as people to understand the answer to any sort of conflict. I think World War II made America think that violence as a means to an end was the answer. And our guilt and inability to understand that you can't assume a role as righteous opinion simply because it's the bigger opinion leads people to feel a need to demonize or pick a bad guy in order to make yourself the good guy. So a lot of these reasons are the reasons why I picked my name and my stance on my political and religious opinions. But I feel like I wasted too much of my life. I have no regrets on what I've said. I don't feel like I wasted my ability making records that say what I think. I feel like I almost wasted too much of my life, and I almost ended up dead, not realizing that I just had to simply say how I feel about people on a human level. And it doesn't make me less of who I am, it makes me more of who I am making this record.
Is this absinthe what you're drinking right now?
Of course.
Okay. I would like to know what is absinthe for you compared to other drugs? Why is it a better mean to get, I don't know, maybe for creativity, or do you use it for your art?
I don't think that you can ever rely on anything for creativity, and I definitely learned that over the past year, making a record, that nothing can inspire you except your own willpower. And what I discovered when it comes to drinking or doing drugs, that it's not how much you do or how little you do, it's why you do it. And I've not changed so much the way I live my life as opposed to why. And I find that if you do things because you're trying to experiment, or you're trying to celebrate or have fun, or you're simply just trying to be you, it's not the same as when you're trying to destroy yourself, which I've experienced both sides of it. And now I think that I'm in a place where I can say a lot of things that a lot of people could only say if they were saying it as a moment of sobriety or a moment that religion has given them some sort of outlook. But for me, it's simply, I was able to find strength in what I do that allowed me to feel like I'm not miserable. And I think that changes everything about how you live your life.
And are drugs for you still important, or you think you can just leave them one day totally? Do you think it's nothing what you really need, that you can just leave it away?
Well, I don't think that any vice is something that, people continue to choose as a choice after they've already, made a deal with the devil as far as like what you like and what you don't like. I know that I've been able to be creative, and I started as a writer and as a singer without the involvement of any sort of outside influences. So I know what my ability is and what my ability isn't. And I think now it's just more of a struggle with the human part of your emotions and your soul and how you want to subdue that or you want to enhance that. So for me, I don't feel the need to make any sort of decision like that. I think that I'm in a position where I can make that decision on a daily basis.